Port Charles has felt like a second hometown to me, full of faces I've watched grow up, fall in love, make terrible mistakes, and somehow find their way back to one another. So when the show starts building towards something big like this Project Faison mess, my heart races the same way it did during the Ice Princess days or the Metro Court hostage crisis. I can feel the heat coming off the screen already, and I know I'm not the only longtime viewer who's sitting forward in my chair wondering how much more Port Charles can possibly take. What we're seeing right now with Britt feels different from anything the writers have thrown at us before. Kelly Thibault is back and giving Britt every ounce of that fierce, complicated energy we loved when she first arrived. The poor woman is fighting Huntington's disease, missing her medication because Ross Cullum has cut her off, and you can see her hands starting to tremble on camera. Those little tremors aren't just acting. They're the first real sign that the disease her father, Cesar, passed down is finally catching up with her. I keep asking myself, how on earth is she supposed to finish this cold fusion project when her own body is betraying her? Cullum doesn't seem to care. He's only interested in the weapon he thinks he can build from Faison's old research. He has no idea, or maybe he just refuses to see that one wrong move could turn the whole lab into a catastrophe. I've been around long enough to remember how the show loves its disaster week storylines every few years. They pull the whole town together, or sometimes tear it apart, and we viewers can't look away. Remember when Victor Cassadine tried to finish what Miko started? That Greenland nightmare with the floating containers and the drone strike still gives me chills. Spencer and Trina barely made it out alive, and Victor paid the ultimate price before he could unleash that deadly virus tied to the Ice Princess diamond. We lost good people that time, and the town never quite felt the same afterward. This Faison Project feels like it's heading down an even darker road. The rumors floating around the fan boards, and I read every one of them, trust me, say the climax could involve a radiation leak or, heaven forbid, something close to a nuclear-level explosion. Cold fusion is supposed to be the holy grail of clean energy, merging atoms at room temperature instead of millions of degrees, but in the wrong hands it becomes something terrifying. If Britt's tremors cause her to miscalculate even slightly, that weapon could go off right there in the lab and threaten everyone in Port Charles. What makes this storyline so gripping is how personal it feels. Britt isn't just some scientist. She's a mother, a doctor, a woman who has already survived more than her share of heartbreak. I keep wondering if she and Jason Morgan will finally get the quiet, happy ending they deserve once he comes back into the picture. Steve Burton's Jason has always been the strong, silent type who shows up exactly when the town needs him most. Will he make it in time to pull Britt out of that lab before everything blows up literally? I hope so. But the show has taught me never to count on easy endings. The writers love to twist the knife just when we think the characters have earned their piece. Now here's where the story takes a turn that feels fresh, and, if I'm honest, a little surprising even for General Hospital. Sonny Corinthos and Laura Collins are stepping up in ways I didn't see coming, and it's giving me real hope amid all this danger. Sonny has spent decades protecting his family and his territory, but lately he seems to understand that this threat is bigger than any mob war or personal vendetta. He's quietly pulling strings, talking to old contacts, making sure the right people are watching the lab from the outside. Laura, bless her, is doing what she does best, being the steady mayor who refuses to let her town fall apart. She's organizing emergency meetings, reaching out to federal contacts, and trying to get ahead of whatever Cullum and Sidwell are planning. Sidwell, played by Carlo Rota, with that slick, dangerous charm, has been lurking in the background, financing Cullum's madness and pushing Britt harder than ever. The two of them together are like a storm cloud hanging over Port Charles. But Sonny and Laura's new alliance feels like the first real ray of sunlight we've seen in weeks. I love how the show is letting these longtime characters evolve. Sonny isn't just shooting his way out of trouble anymore, he's thinking strategically. almost like the wise elder statesman he's become. Laura isn't sitting behind a desk making speeches. She's out there knocking on doors, reminding everyone that Port Charles is worth saving, no matter how many times it's been blown up, flooded, or taken hostage. Their quiet coordination is the kind of mature storytelling I've been craving after so many years of watching the same old rivalries. It proves the writers still know how to honor the history while moving forward. They're showing us that even in the middle of a potential nuclear-level disaster, the heart of the show remains the same. People who care about each other refusing to give up. Of course, I have my own theories, and some of them might be completely wrong, but that's half the fun of being a fan for 4 decades. I don't think Britt is going to die in that lab. The tremors are real, and the stakes are terrifying, but I believe her story still has chapters left. Maybe the cold fusion reaction goes wrong just enough to create chaos, without total destruction enough to expose Cullum and Sidwell, enough to bring Jason running, enough to let Sunny and Laura prove they can still save the day. I can already picture the hospital scenes afterward, the town pulling together again, Britt getting the medical help she needs, and maybe even a tender moment between her and Jason that makes all of us reach for the tissues. The beauty of General Hospital has always been its ability to make us feel the danger right in our living rooms while reminding us that hope is never completely gone. Right now, the air in Port Charles feels thick with tension. Every missed dose of Britt's medication, every suspicious conversation between Cullum and Sidwell, every quiet phone call Sunny makes to Laura, it all adds up to something massive. I keep checking the clock, counting down the hours until the next episode because I genuinely cannot wait to see how they pull this off. Will the radiation leak happen? Will the whole waterfront be evacuated? Will we lose anyone we love? The show has surprised me before, and I trust it will surprise me again. What keeps me coming back after all these years is exactly this: feeling the sense that the town I've grown to love is facing a threat that feels real and immediate. Yet underneath the explosions and the medical emergencies and the whispered plans, there's still friendship, family, and second chances. Sunny and Laura's new partnership is proof that the show isn't just recycling old disasters. It's giving us something layered and emotional. Britt's struggle isn't just about science gone wrong. It's about a woman fighting for her life and her future. And somewhere in the middle of all that danger, I believe love and loyalty will win out the way they always have in Port Charles. So I'll keep my remote handy, my coffee warm, and my heart open. Whatever the writers have planned for the end of Project Faison, I know it's going to be explosive in every sense of the word. Port Charles is in real trouble, but it's also in very good hands. The danger feels closer than ever. The stakes higher than they've been in years, and I, for one, wouldn't miss a single minute of it. The show that has kept me company through marriages, divorces, grandchildren, and everything in between is once again reminding me why I fell in love with it in the first place. Bring on the fireworks, bring on the tears, and bring on whatever comes next, because in Port Charles, the story is never truly over. It just keeps getting better. I remember when Caesar first slithered into Port Charles like a snake in the grass, leaving chaos wherever he went. And now, here we are, watching his final twisted project, the cold fusion weapon, teetering on the brink of total destruction. It feels like the show is finally closing the book on that dark chapter, but not without one last heart-pounding explosion of drama. The writers are making it clear that once Faison's dangerous inheritance goes up in smoke, everything in Port Charles shifts in ways we never saw coming. What really has my pulse racing is how Cassius Ryan Pavey, playing him with that brooding intensity, is suddenly making bold new moves. I never expected the man pretending to be Nathan West to turn into such a complicated protector, but here he is, adjusting on the fly to keep his half-sister Britt alive. He's the one who struck the deal with Cullum and Sidwell for her Huntington's medication, and now that the project is headed for annihilation, Cassius is stepping up with fresh actions we haven't seen before. He's covering tracks, whispering warnings, and quietly reshaping alliances in ways that prove he's not just Faison's son, he's forging his own path. It's a smart twist that honors the family history while giving us something brand new to chew on. The tension is climbing higher every episode, and it's putting both Britt and Cassius squarely in the crosshairs. Britt's tremors are getting worse, her hands shaking as she tries to finish the work that could save or doom them all. Cassius knows the risks better than anyone, yet he keeps pushing forward, and that shared danger is forcing real changes in their bond. I keep wondering if this brother-sister connection will survive the fallout, but the show is proving it can, through quiet looks, hurried conversations, and the kind of loyalty that only comes from blood like theirs. It's raw, it's real, and it makes me root for them even when the stakes feel impossibly high. And then there's young Rocco Falconeri, stepping up like the hero we always hoped he'd become. He saved Britt once, already in that heart-stopping lab moment, pulling her and Jason out of immediate harm, and word is he's about to do it again. That kid's courage is giving me chills in the best way. But every rescue comes with consequences, and this second save is already sparking a new obsession that's rippling through Port Charles. Maybe it's Cassius becoming fiercely protective in a way that borders on fixation, or perhaps it's the town itself fixating on Rocco as the next generation of guardians. Either way, it feels electric, like the show is handing the torch while reminding us nothing ever stays simple. I love how these threads weave together so tightly. Faison's legacy crumbling forces Cassius to evolve, the rising shocks pull Britt deeper into the fire, and Rocco's heroism lights a new fire of its own. Sunny and Laura are still quietly coordinating from the sidelines. Jason is poised to return at just the right moment, and the whole canvas feels alive with possibility. As a viewer who's watched this town survive floods, shootings, and every kind of heartbreak, I'm convinced the writers are delivering their best high-stakes storytelling in years. The danger feels immediate, the emotions run deep, and the promise of what comes next keeps me counting the hours until tomorrow's episode. Port Charles is changing right before our eyes, and I wouldn't miss a second of it. The destruction of Faison's dark inheritance isn't an ending, it's the spark that's igniting something even bigger. And I, for one, am here for every twist, every save, and every hard-won breath of hope that follows.